Hello friends, welcome to week 10, or the remainder of week 10, of my NFL predictions. Get right into it. Last week was okay, not much to say about it. Start with the Texans, facing the Browns. The Browns will get Nick Chubb back, which is undoubtedly a huge boost for them, as long as he can handle a full workload. When he was in the team, the Browns had the number one running total for the league. They were number one with a little over 200 yards a game. In the few weeks that he has been missing, that's gone down. They are now the fifth at exactly 150 yards a game. So quite a massive difference there. Like I say, it's dependent on him actually carrying a full workload, because Kareem Hunt has deputised fairly well, but, you know, it's nice to have the 1-2 punch, isn't it? It's going to be a rainy day, from what we can tell, in Cleveland, and it's also a revenge game for Romeo Crennel, who was Browns head coach for 4 years between 2005 and 2008. But there are far too many factors pointing towards a Browns win for me to predict anything other than that, and as such, I'm going to take the Browns by 13. I'm going to go into the Washington football team at 2-6 against the Lions. Washington, despite only being 2-6, are still only 1.5 games behind the lead in the no one wants to win the NFC East. Yeah, it's not a great division. Alex Smith starting his first game for Washington since breaking his leg 2 years ago. Ironically, starting his game because Kyle Allen broke his leg last week. Yeah. Don't know. Don't see there being a lot of scoring in this one. Kenny Galladay's out for the Lions, which is huge for them because he's such a massive part of what they bring to the table. I'm going to go slightly against the grain here and take the football team to win this by 2. Got the Panthers going up against the Bucks with opposing 3-6, 6-3 records. Christian McCaffrey back for the Panthers last week. 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Fantastic. I say that as an owner of him in fantasy. Oops. He's hurt himself again. This time it's his shoulder. He will definitely be out for this game. The Bucks, in particular, Tom Brady had a terrible game last week against the Saints. Bruce Arians called Tom Brady out, saying he was just making horrible throws all over the place. You know, fair enough. He was. Should be a massive bounce back game for the Buccaneers, but I don't see them entirely having it easy. That said, I think they will win. Buccaneers by 6. Speaking of the NFC East, the Eagles taking on the Giants. I don't know what to say about this one. I don't have any notes written down for it. Anything. I could not find anything interesting to say about this game. The Eagles are still number 1 in sacks. Great. The Giants are probably the better of the two teams that play in New Jersey. Yeah, not a massive amount to say here. I think the Eagles will win what will probably be another very low-scoring affair. I'm going to take the Eagles by 9. The Jags against the Packers next. Now, Packers winning quite handily last week. Aaron Jones came back just in the nick of time. Good for them. The Jags are... Yeah, you know... The Jags are the Jags. They're not going to be troubling the playoffs anytime in the next few years, I wouldn't have thought. Jake Luton had a pretty solid debut for them, actually, last week. Although, you know, the majority of what he achieved in the game came in the very first drive with a 73-yard pass. So, yeah, I cannot see any other result than the Packers winning this one. I'm going to take the Packers by 21. And we're going to go to the Bills against the Cardinals. And It was lacking last week, but it is time for Josh Watch! Josh Watch! Josh Watch! It's Josh Watch. Yes, it's time for Josh Watch. He had an absolutely stonking game against the Seahawks last week. He had, well, what can you say? 4 touchdowns. Led the team to a pretty unlikely win. Yeah. He's a good player. He's a good player. People are sleeping on him, but he's a good player. You need to be a good player to have 415 passing yards and 4 touchdowns in a game. That's what I think. Josh Watch! Josh Watch! Josh Watch! It's Josh Watch. But yeah, massive result for the Bills last week. They were on a bit of a slump after a great start, and it was very, very good to see them bringing it back, because it turned out to be a very good game against the Seahawks. Good for the casual fan. I reckon they're going to continue this week, and I am going to pick the Bills by 8. The Chargers versus the Dolphins. The soon-to-be 9-3 Dolphins. Quote me on that. Yeah, we are 5-3. Somehow, after a pathetic performance in week 1 against the Patriots, we are since then 5-2, with wins coming out of the woodwork against the 49ers, against the Rams. I think we are probably second favourites to win the AFC East at this stage, and yeah, pretty good, right? Sorry, I forgot about the Jets. Sorry, we're third. Oh no, that's right. The Jets suck, as you were. At least they're on bye this week. We don't need to deal with them. So yeah, Dolphins. Tua, second start, second win. Had to do more this time. Kyler Murray was in imperious form for the Cardinals, but yeah, Tua did what he needed to do. The defense eventually got a couple of stops against Kyler's run offense, and yeah, superb. 5-3, great start. I had us predicted 2-6 after the first 8 games. And I think we are capable of winning another 6 by the end of the year. I've said it. I think we win the next 4. I certainly don't see who stops us in amongst those games. Maybe the Patriots. Probably not. I think we're going to take them. I think we're going to take this one against the Chargers as well. I'm expecting another quarterback-heavy battle, actually. I think Justin Herbert will have a lot to prove. It is, of course, the battle of the number 5 and number 6 picks in this year's draft. But I'm going to take the Dolphins, and I'm going to take the Dolphins handily. I'm going to take us by 16 points. Let's move on to the Broncos at the Raiders. You're going to notice a slight pattern here in the next few games. The Raiders will win this. End off. The Broncos have been, I don't want to say terrible, because they've not been terrible. They've just been terrible. They've had a couple of lucky escapes to get a couple of victories on the board. The Raiders have been probably above where we'd expect them to be at this stage. And I cannot see any way for the Broncos to win in Las Vegas. As such, I'm going to take the Raiders by 10. And I'm going to move on to the Seahawks at the Rams. The Seahawks, like I say, had a horrible result against the Bills last week. They would probably have gone into that one expecting a win. But their defense didn't show up again, and they shipped 44 points. So you're not going to win many games if you've let 44 points go past you. It's pretty straightforward, really. Are the Rams capable of putting 44 points up against the Seahawks? Maybe. I think at this stage anyone is capable of putting points up against the Seahawks. I think they'll fall short, the Rams, I mean. And I'm going to have to take the Seahawks to get a bounce back here. Do I still favour them for the Super Bowl? They were my pick at the start of the year. I'm not convinced so much now. I think, yeah. I think we can expect a very good game from Russell Wilson here. He will want to push himself. He might throw a couple of picks, but I think he'll throw a good 4 or 5 touchdowns to go with it. And I'm going to take the Seahawks, also by 10. Bengals at the Steelers next. And yeah, Ben's hurt again. He's playing through. He's got a knee injury, possibly 2 knee injuries. Could be both his legs that are hurt. He's been in the COVID protocol this week, but he will play. It's great news for the Steelers because, you know, beyond Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback, they don't have a lot. As was kind of proven last year, they did reasonably well all the same, but, you know, they will continue their unbeaten run here. I don't see any way for the Bengals to win. Joe Mixon is out, so it's up to Gio Bernard. They, of course, still have a decent wide receiver core, and Joe Burrow's capable, but I don't think he's capable of doing it against the Steelers at Heinz Field. Steelers, once again, by 10. And to close out this area, we have the Sunday night game. The 49ers... No, not the Sunday night game yet. I do apologise. It's the 49ers against the Saints. This is the last of the early evening games. Once again, it's going to be fairly familiar. It's the 49ers with all of their injuries against a Saints team that is pretty much back to full form and full fitness. And you can only realistically predict one winner for this one. And I'm going to take the Saints by 10. Got them all written down here. 10, 10, 10, 10. You know, a lot of 10-point games in this one, I think. The Ravens up against the Patriots in the actual Sunday night game. Now, a lot to like about the Ravens. Not much of it at the moment is Lamar Jackson. He's been very ineffectual, all told. Coming proper sophomore slump from his MVP season last year. Not a sophomore, of course, but you know what I mean. He has not put up the numbers you'd expect of him. He's almost... It's almost like he's forgotten how to be a pocket passer. And he is just scrambling every single play now. Which, you know, don't get me wrong, he's the best in the league at. But if he becomes a one-trick pony, which it's looking like he has, then teams are going to clue into that. And, you know, it's why he's not been great this year. The Ravens are still getting the job done, but they're doing it mostly through defence at this stage. They had a bit of a lucky scrape last week against the Colts. Yeah. But, you know, it's the Ravens and it's the Patriots. And they're two completely different prospects at the moment. And you have to take the Ravens over the Patriots. It's as simple as that. And I'm taking the Ravens by 14. It's at the stage for the Patriots where even losing Julian Edelman doesn't actually make them any less of a team, because they are just rank at this stage. I'm going to close it out with Monday Night Football. We have the Vikings at the Bears. Vikings putting together a few wins. The Bears putting together a few losses. Will the trend continue? I mean, logic dictates absolutely yes. We have a team in form versus a team absolutely not in form, who will be missing David Montgomery at running back. You know, even David Montgomery's not great, but beyond him, there ain't much. I couldn't name their backup running back, to put it that way. And I actually almost added him to my fantasy team before kind of pulling out of that thought. Dalvin Cook, 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns? 6 or 7 touchdowns in his last 2 games since he came back from injury. He's an absolute nightmare. He really is just an absolute nightmare. If you have him in fantasy, he's fantastic for the games he can actually finish. And half the time, you have to keep him on your bench because he's hurt. It's just a trade-off you have to make. But when he does play, like I say, absolutely amazing. I think he will continue to do well in this game. And I think the Vikings will continue to do well. And I'm taking the Vikings, excuse my breath, by 9 points. And that is going to do it for this week. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I'm sorry it's a little bit more of a hashed out video again. It's about an hour before the game start and I just kind of want to get it up. Didn't want to be faffing around too much more. I will have more time next week to actually do a proper video, so you can expect that. And until then, thank you very much for your patience and thank you for watching, and I will see you then. Bye for now.